Mr. President, right now, families are trying to get health coverage for next year, a few weeks away, and they are coming face to face with the mega healthcare hike. That's not some theory or talking point, that is the stone cold reality. Just talk to folks back home and they will tell you premiums are doubling on average for people losing the ACA enhanced premium tax credits. In some cases, they are tripling or quadrupling or even worse. I have heard from seniors who will see their premium jump more than $1,000 a month. I've heard from a family in Washington State whose premium will jump $2,000 a month. A new KFF poll found 1 in 4 people will just go without health coverage if their premium doubles. Again, that's the average increase families are facing because of Republican inaction. That's the reality that we are staring down this very moment. This is hitting seniors who are too young for Medicare but can't afford to roll the dice on their health. This is hitting small businesses who rely on the exchanges and tax credits to get coverage for themselves and their employees. It is hitting farmers, many of whom are covered on the exchanges. And I have to say, the reason that I call this the mega health care hike is because it is going to hit mega states the hardest, even as Trump calls affordability a scam. The 10 states where premiums are jumping by the highest percentage, all Republican states, every single one. The vast majority of these dollars go to Republican states, and yet the vast majority of my Republican colleagues couldn't be bothered when it came to saving the health tax credits and stopping folks back home from losing their coverage. Not only are most Republicans not serious about stopping the mega healthcare hike, many of them are cheering it on. You don't have to take my word for it. Just look at what Republican leaders said about saving the healthcare tax credits earlier this year. Republican leaders said, and I quote, nothing. Or just look at the only health care plan Republicans ever rallied around, cutting $1 trillion from health care. Or just listen to Speaker Johnson argue Republicans strengthened health care by making the biggest cut in Medicaid in history. That's like saying you strengthened a ship by throwing the passengers overboard. That is the one thing they all agree on. That is the one health policy they are all proud of. Do Republicans want an award for all the hospitals that are now going to shutter? Do they want a thank you card from all the families that are getting priced out of their health coverage? And another clear sign Republicans are not serious about health care. Their message has been all over the place, everywhere from hypocritical to nonsensical to straight up lies. One of the first Republican talking points we saw was the outright lie that all this money is for illegal immigrants. Their latest spin is just as ridiculous, because now Republicans, the same party that proudly brought you the biggest billionaire tax giveaway in the history of our country, the same Republicans who have never met a corporate CEO they didn't want to shower with tax cuts, are scandalized to learn health insurance is provided by health insurance companies. That's pretty darn rich. When Republicans were just giving money away this summer, literally a billionaire free-for-all, it was so important that they cut health care. But when Democrats want to help families buy health care coverage, that's a bridge too far. If Republicans, the party of Trump and Elon Musk, want to play who is buddies with billionaires, go ahead, make my day. Remember, Republicans made tax breaks for billionaires permanent. They exploded the national debt by trillions to do it. They cut health care to do that. And they pretended that it cost $0 by using ridiculous make-believe budget gimmicks. But saving health care for a few years is too expensive? Republicans don't see anything outrageous about Trump shoveling billions of dollars at Argentina? They have no objection with a new private jet for Secretary Noem, or bulldozing the White House for Trump's latest gold-plated vanity project, but they can't imagine making sure their own constituents have health care? And please, when Republicans try and pretend it's unthinkable we want to do this for 3 years, don't forget they already voted down doing it 1 year. In fact, one Republican actually called it, quote, political terrorism. Give me a break. Trump can post a video where he bombs protesters with feces. He can repost someone calling to hang Democrats. But when Democrats want to save health care for working families, that is political terrorism? Mr. President. And let's not forget one of the most incredible Republican excuses for letting these premiums double, that they never wanted to lower health care costs with these tax credits in the first place. They say, look, Democrats passed these tax credits without a single Republican vote. Well, you bet we did, and that really shows the differences in priorities, doesn't it? When Democrats were in power, we passed the strongest, longest tax credit we had the votes for to help working families get health care, because Democrats actually think it's a problem that millions of people are going to lose coverage. But Republicans think the real problem is too many people were able to get coverage in the first place. They're even doubling down on that in their new half-baked proposal to pretend they have some kind of health care agenda. Just look at the ideas that Republicans are putting forward. The Republican health care plan is to bring back the bad old days of high-risk pools when pre-existing conditions were not protected and a cancer diagnosis meant you couldn't get health coverage. The Republicans' health care plan is more junk health plans that bury patients in debt when they have an accident or they get sick. The Republican plan is finding new ways to attack access to abortion and block women from getting the care that they need. The Republican health care plan is just let moms shop around for health care, as if moms didn't have enough to worry about, and as if shopping is even an option when you need urgent care or specialty care that's hard to find, or you only have one hospital for miles. And here's a doozy. The health care plan Republicans put forward this week does not even bring down premiums, not a single cent. That's right, their plan does nothing about the skyrocketing premium. So if your premium is too high for you to afford coverage in the first place, the Republican plan for you is tough luck. They want to replace tax credits that actually make sure people can enroll in a quality health plan with a mere pittance that you can only get if you're poor enough to qualify but still make enough to afford health coverage in the first place, and only if you buy the lowest quality plan, even if that's not what you want. Only then are Republicans offering you a meager $83 or $125 a month, which comes, by the way, nowhere close to covering your deductible, and does nothing to keep families' out-of-pocket health care costs from going through the roof. Instead of reducing the uninsured rate or getting people quality coverage, Republicans are saying to you, what if we only give money to people who can afford health coverage instead of supporting those who cannot? And what if we spent that money pushing people towards the worst coverage that leaves them on the hook for huge deductibles? Instead of bringing premiums down, Republicans are saying, what if we spend the same funding in a way that doesn't lower premiums at all, but just leaves them sky high, and even ends up with them soaring for patients with pre-existing conditions by driving younger, healthier people into lower quality, catastrophic plans or out of the market entirely. The Republican plan is like Squid Games for healthcare. You can't afford health coverage? Here's a coupon. Spin the wheel and see if you make it through the year. If you lose, if you get cancer, if you get pregnant, or if you have some sort of medical emergency more expensive than $1,000, you get buried in debt. And win or lose, you are going to have to play the same twisted game again, year after year for the rest of your life. And 1 year, you're going to lose. because we all get sick eventually. We all get older eventually. What Republicans have put forward is not a health care plan. It's a sick joke. I can hardly believe they can say it with a straight face. And speaking of jokes, are Republicans going to stand up this newfangled disaster before open enrollment begins? Well, wait, guess what? Too late for that. This is not just out of touch with families, it is out of touch with reality. Even if these plans were not a joke, there's scarcely time left to do something half as complicated. That is the kicker, Mr. President. If Republicans were serious about reforming the tax credits, the time to do that was before we were a month into open enrollment. Democrats were at the table all year. Republicans were nowhere to be found. The truth is, if Republicans actually wanted to reform the tax credits, they could have done that without Democrats. They could have done that actually in their big ugly bill. They could have extended those ACA tax credits completely on their own terms if it was important to them. But they did not, because they did not care. And when Democrats insisted and insisted and insisted Republicans just come to the table, they chose to shut down the government rather than talk about health care. But now, when rates have already been set and families have days to get coverage for January, a few weeks away, Republicans are not only trying to pretend they care about stopping the mega health care hike, they are now trying to pretend it is realistic to negotiate major changes and new programs in time for January 1st. What are they talking about? Forget how long negotiations take. Even if we pass that bill today, there is not time to implement anything more complicated than a clean extension. Now, I am always at the table to talk about how we can save health care. I'm happy to sit down next year and negotiate serious, bipartisan reforms for the 2027 season. But the key word here is serious. It is not serious for Republicans to act like they care about health care now when they were silent on this during their tax-cutting bonanza. It is not serious for Republicans to act like there is time for major negotiations and reforms now, when we are over halfway through open enrollment. And it is not serious for Republicans to act like they just want simple tweaks when they're actually demanding new abortion coverage bans they know are a non-starter. Mr. President, let me close with this. If Republicans truly want to have a serious bipartisan conversation about health care, we can do that. Democrats are happy to do that. But there is a fire burning right now, and a lot of people are about to get burned if we don't put it out. So the first step has to be passing the bill Democrats have put forward, simply extending the tax credits and saving health care for millions of families in the country. We could have talked about reforms earlier, and once we do this, we can still talk about reforms later. But right now, we have to put this fire out, and we have a bill that does that. Now, I am hoping against hope and against history that reason wins out and Republicans join us to pass this bill. But I will say, if Republicans refuse to do the right thing, the thing their own constituents are begging all of us to do, they should know Democrats are not going to walk away from this fight. I'm going to continue to hold Republicans accountable. And more importantly, the American people are going to hold Republicans accountable too, with their voices and with their votes. Democrats will also keep sharing a vision for how we do rebuild a stronger healthcare system after this Republican wreckage. Because as much as we want to save these health tax credits, I think everyone knows that is a starting point. It is a bare minimum. We still need universal health care in America. We have needed it for a very long time. It is what I've always been fighting for. And whatever happens in the next few days, I'm going to keep pushing for reforms that make high-quality health care that's actually affordable a reality for every American. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.